What's up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another episode of Go Talk with Marcus, presented by the Give Us a Shot Network. Sal Vassallo of Sports. You know that means we're talking all things wrestling. Money in the Bank is a little less than 2 hours away. It's one of my favorite times of year is Money in the Bank. There's a lot to talk about, not just with the card, but also there could be some returns. And special note to all you baseball fans out there, isn't today Bobby Bonilla Day?
Yeah, today is Bobby Bonilla Day until 2035. So we got another 12 years?
Another 12 more years. July 1st. If you don't know, mark it on your calendars. It's Bobby Bonilla Day. We're going to talk some wrestling next on Go Talk with Marcus.
Give them a shot to do what?
Sal, my good brother, how you doing today, man?
Good. Obviously, Money in the Bank came around quickly. Came around a lot faster than I thought it would. But it's time to see who gets the next opportunity. And Money in the Bank is interesting because it's like it gives you a sense of who WWE views as maybe that next person to kind of step into the world title picture.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Money in the Bank is for, to literally just catapult a newer superstar into a world title picture. And sometimes, like with Liv Morgan, where she wouldn't otherwise be in the picture.
Yeah. I love it. I love it so much. Money in the Bank is, if I had to rank all the pay-per-views on the calendar, I would say Money in the Bank for me would probably be third, right behind WrestleMania, right behind SummerSlam. I love Money in the Bank so much. But before we get into Money in the Bank, which I know is going to be an amazing card, I do want to just get this match out the way. It's the most pointless match on the card, but it has to happen. Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler are your current unified WWE Women's Tag Team Champions after having defeated Isla Dawn and Alba Fire 2 weeks ago on SmackDown. They will defend the championships against Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan, the returning Liv Morgan, in today's event. This, you know how I feel about the women's tag team titles. I feel like every month I go on the soliloquy about how pointless they are and all this other stuff. And I don't want to do that again. So let's just get over it. Who do you have winning the match today and why?
Even though it's a championship, they never lost. I don't think Morgan and Rodriguez get their titles back. I think Ronda and Baszler, we've kind of waited so long for WWE to do something with Shayna Baszler, and for her sake, I hope they don't lose. Because everyone's been kind of screaming, you've had all these big pushes from Ronda, but they've kind of done nothing with Baszler. And so it's as pointless as the WWE Women's Tag titles might be, because there's no real division for it. At least it's something that they're doing with Shayna Baszler. And I mean, the feel good, like the favorites obviously could be Morgan and Rodriguez. But I think Rousey and Baszler are in for a long title reign.
Why do we live in a world where Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler are our women's tag team champions? Why is this the world we live in? Why is this the world that WWE has? I don't get it, bro. I so desperately want to have some hope. And every time we come on for when it's time to talk women's tag team titles, it's like the hope I have for this championship, the hope I have for this division just dwindles ever so slightly. I don't like that Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler are tag team champions. I don't like, even more specifically, that since Shayna Baszler has been on the main roster, she is a 2-time women's tag team champion. This is a 3-time women's tag team champion, actually. This is a woman who in NXT was arguably the most dominant NXT women's champion the brand had ever seen. She's a 2-time women's NXT women's champion. She came up to the main roster, feuded with Becky Lynch, lost to Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 36 in the Performance Center to a pregnant Becky Lynch, and she hasn't sniffed women's singles championship gold yet. And I have to sit here every week and watch her come out to the ring alongside Ronda Rousey and be nothing more than Ronda Rousey's lackey, honestly. Like, and no disrespect to Shayna Baszler, because Shayna Baszler is phenomenal, and no disrespect to Ronda Rousey, because Ronda Rousey is an amazing superstar as far as her name value, but like Ronda Rousey sucks on the microphone, and Shayna Baszler could be so much better on the microphone. I so desperately want Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez to win this match. But the problem is, no matter who wins, whether Shayna and Ronda retain, whether Liv and Raquel regain the championship, who are they going to face? There's only one other tag team. There's only two other tag teams on the roster. Aladon and Alba Fire, and Katana Chance and Kata Carter. That's it. There's no other women's tag teams on the roster right now. There's none. So, and I'm sorry, and there's Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. So you have a tag team division with 5 tag teams in it. 2 of the tag teams are actually singles. 3 of the tag teams are single superstars that were paired together to help make a division. I hate it so much. I do think Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez should win, but unfortunately, I have to agree with you. I cannot see a scenario, unfortunately, where Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler lose this match at Money in the Bank, and it sucks.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that you hope comes out of like Rousey and Baszler's title reign together is at some point, I guess far down the line, it plants the seeds for Rousey versus Baszler, which I think would be pretty interesting. And I think that could either go 2 ways. You could either use it to finally give Shayna Baszler that push that she deserves.
Yeah.
Or they could fall back into the Ronda Rousey trap where they give Rousey the win.
Ronda Rousey needs to go live on her farm, take care of her daughter. She's not good. She's not good. I don't like seeing Ronda Rousey on my TV screen every Friday. I don't. I really don't. There was a time when I did. When she first debuted back in 2018 WrestleMania 34, I loved it. I thought it was amazing. That match was great. She had a nice little run there. Since she's been back, I don't like it. Since she won the Royal Rumble last year, or what was that, 2 years ago for WrestleMania 38, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. And I think I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
I mean, I don't. It's not that I dislike her, but at this point, I kind of want to see like guys, ladies like Raquel Rodriguez and Shayna Baszler kind of get that spotlight a little bit. So it's not necessarily that I don't like Rousey. I just don't want her to block anybody else because WWE is like in love with the Ronda Rousey name.
Yeah, I don't like her. You can be okay with her, and you're a better human than I am. I don't like her. I want Ronda Rousey to go away. I want her to go as far away as possible and never come back. Unfortunately, though, she will come back when she's done because they'll put her in the Hall of Fame. But whatever. She needs to go away and never return. Speaking of going away and never returning, I wanted Logan Paul to go away and never return, but he was added to the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. In the match that is most likely going to start the show, Ricochet, Shinsuke Nakamura, LA Knight, Santos Escobar, Butch, Damian Priest, and Logan Paul will all do battle for the right to call themselves Mr. Money in the Bank and potentially become our next World Heavyweight or Undisputed WWE Universal Champion. I feel like this is a no-brainer because everyone's all picking the same person to win this match. But Sal, who do you think is walking out of London with the Money in the Bank contract on the men's side of things?
See, now that puts a lot of pressure on me because I had 2 names in mind and one, I had 3 names in mind. One's going to have his chances like taken away by what I saw as a rumor.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that Bad Bunny might, they might do Bad Bunny versus Logan Paul, which means Bad Bunny might cost Logan Paul this match. But either way, I think I looked at the names that are listed. There's only 2 guys that should walk out of here with the briefcase: LA Knight or Damian Priest. I think if the Judgment Day needs something other than Rhea Ripley's championship. One of the 3 men have to win something. So I think it would maybe you could get some outside interference. Maybe Dominic comes out, helps Damian Priest win.
True.
Or LA Knight's been so popular, maybe you put LA Knight in that spot. I don't know if it's too soon for him, but he's certainly getting over with the crowd. So the crowd would definitely love it.
Yeah. Look, man, the yeah movement, it's alive and well. All right. LA Knight is going to walk out of here as Mr. Money in the Bank. And if he doesn't, I would be upset. I would be super upset if this win. Let's run down the route. You've got Ricochet. I mean, Ricochet is in this match. And Ricochet has been in some Money in the Bank matches before, and he's given us some amazing moments. Shinsuke Nakamura, unfortunately, if it weren't for LA Knight, I would think that Shinsuke should win this match because it's been long overdue for Shinsuke to get some more world title opportunities. Santos Escobar, I love him. He's not there yet. He's not there yet to be Mr. Money in the Bank and potentially be our next world heavyweight or undisputed WWE Universal Champion. Butch, not yet. I think we could see some sprinklings of the return of Pete Dunne in this match. There was some bruiserweight chants being chanted at Butch over the past couple days with them obviously being over there. So hopefully we see the return of Pete Dunne very soon, and then we can talk about him maybe going into the championship stratosphere. Damian Priest, I agree with you. I think it's either going to be LA Knight or Damian Priest. I'm leaning LA Knight. Logan Paul should not win this match. If Logan Paul wins this match, I'm going to be upset because why would you have a Logan Paul be essentially the de facto number one contender for Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns' championship? Two guys that he's lost to at big time pay-per-views. For Roman Reigns, for the championship. For Rollins, it was at WrestleMania this past year. So I don't want to see that. As far as Bad Bunny versus Logan Paul, I like the idea. I don't know if we've ever had a celebrity versus a celebrity at a pay-per-view in WWE history, but I don't think either of those guys are at a place yet in their WWE careers where they can lead a match. Do you know what I mean? Like, Bad Bunny has put on great matches with Damian Priest, and he put on a great match alongside Damian Priest against Miz and Morrison back at WrestleMania 37. He's put on great matches, and Logan Paul has put on great matches against the Mysterios alongside the Miz, against the Miz at SummerSlam, against Rollins at WrestleMania this past year, against Reigns back it was at Crown Jewel. Like, they've put on great matches when other guys were leading them through the match and leading them through the spots and making them look good. I don't know if Logan Paul and Bad Bunny by themselves could put on a good match because who's going to lead? That's my one apprehension there. Maybe give them some more time. I think that match at WrestleMania could be cool because they would both have at least another match or so in the ring. I think we'll see Bad Bunny at SummerSlam probably, and I think we'll see Logan Paul at SummerSlam as well. We'll see both of these guys before we get to WrestleMania, and I think then you could have a match. I think it's still a bit too soon, but the person that should win the Money in the Bank contract should be LA Knight. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I can see the Damian Priest argument. He's been getting a lot of praise lately backstage from the up and ups and the powers that be, and rightfully so because he's been doing great things. There's rumors that he could maybe turn face and turn on the Judgment Day, and he get replaced by JD McDonough. We know all that's happening, but I don't think the time is right for Damian Priest just yet. I think we still need a little bit more. Although Damian Priest as Mr. Money in the Bank, especially if Balor loses tonight or today, could cause an interesting dynamic between Balor and Priest and lead to a feud down the line and probably accelerate the eventual leaving of Damian Priest from Judgment Day if that is what they choose to do. But LA Knight should win this match. He's the only person that should win this match.
Yeah. Ricochet and Santos Escobar are kind of just in there for cool moments.
Yeah.
Shinsuke Nakamura to me is so far gone in WWE that it's like it would be hard. I guess it wouldn't be hard to get excited about him winning this match, but I mean, at this point, there's like no momentum for him to win. So it's like, why is he winning? Is this going to be something dumb where they make him lose the cash in?
Yeah,
because losing the cash in is not a bad thing, but if of all the things they've done to Nakamura so far, if they add losing a Money in the Bank cash in, I would be really pissed off.
Yeah. And here's the thing too, because you bring up losing the cash in. When you look back at the last couple of superstars that have held Money in the Bank, it's been rough, right? Austin Theory had a failed cash in for the U.S. Championship. Big E had a successful cash in. Obviously, he won the WWE Championship. Miz had a successful cash in, but the Miz beat Otis, who was the original Money in the Bank winner, to get his cash in. And Miz's championship reign lasted for 8 days. So, I think before Otis, it was who was Money in the Bank before Otis? I don't know, but they didn't cash in successfully. I know that. So like it doesn't even matter. Braun Strowman's been Money in the Bank. He wasn't a successful cash in. Like when you think back to 2016, which was the last time we had the 100%. That was when Dean Ambrose cashed in. Baron Corbin has failed to cash in. Braun Strowman has failed to cash in. Like Brock Lesnar successfully cashed in, but like I mean, it was Brock. Like the Money in the Bank contract hasn't had the greatest track record over the past couple years. Whoever wins this match has to cash in successfully, which unfortunately for Seth Rollins means he's gonna be the victim. He's going to be the victim in this case, more than likely, and that is an unfortunate reality for Seth Rollins. But that is how you make the World Heavyweight Championship mean a lot more. Is you target with the Money in the Bank contract. So I mean, I don't like it for Rollins because he's going to lose via cash in, but I also love it for the championship because you're going to continue to make it mean something by having it be cashed in on. Whoever Roman loses to, that's going to be earmarked for their own thing. They're not going to have Roman lose to the cash in, and whoever beats Roman also is going to lose to a cash in because they want that to be a strong champion. So unfortunately for Seth Rollins, his championship is the one that is earmarked for the cash in, which sucks. Let's switch gears. Let's talk about the women. Again, I think the women one is also just as straightforward as the men. I don't really see. There's a couple of viable options here, but I mean, there's really only 2. You've got Zelina Vega, Becky Lynch, Zoe Stark, Bayley, Io Sky, and Trish Stratus all competing in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match for the right to challenge either Rhea Ripley or Asuka at any time of their choosing for a world championship match. Who do you have winning and walking out of London as Miss Money in the Bank?
So here's the thing. I don't know. Part of me says maybe you could catapult Zoe Stark into that spot, but also Io Sky winning could create that dynamic with Bayley, especially if, let's say, they do something where like Bayley's about to win, Io Sky stops her and wins the match herself. That would be really interesting. I do want to pick Zoe Stark, but I think she's too new. Yeah. So that's why I'm going to go with Io Sky. I can't see them giving it to either Trish Stratus or Becky Lynch. Bayley would be a little bit more okay with me, but I feel like they like Io Sky and they want to give her a chance, which would create an interesting dynamic with Bayley for sure. Can you imagine now Io Sky is the champion and Bayley just kind of like is there? I
think when you look at where Damage Control is now, they're and unfortunately Dakota Kai is out with the ACL, and she'll be back in a couple months. We'll probably see her back at the Royal Rumble. I do think the dynamic between Damage Control, specifically with Io Sky and Bayley, it's an interesting dynamic. We've seen Bayley unintentionally cost Io Sky some matches over the past couple weeks. You think back to Backlash specifically. That's one of those moments where she unintentionally cost Io Sky a match. Something else to notice, during the Women's Money in the Bank Summit on Raw, one of the last people to speak in that promo before everything went haywire was Io Sky. And what Io Sky said is that every woman for herself. Which is true. It is every woman for herself, and which is kind of ironic to think because you got Io Sky and she's in a tag team with Bayley, and Zoe Stark and Trish Stratus are kind of like the only 2 women in this match that kind of don't have a partner in this is Zelina Vega and Becky Lynch, and I guess that'll kind of make them associated by default. So that is an interesting dynamic in the match itself. I agree. It should be Io Sky. I think this one is open and shut. I think this one is much more open and shut than the men's Money in the Bank because are you going to give it to Becky Lynch? No. You're not going to give it to Trish because she's a Hall of Famer and you don't want Trish Stratus to be your champion right now, unfortunately. Zoe Stark is too green. I agree. And as much as I would love Zelina Vega, and as much as I think that Zelina Vega winning would be much like Liv Morgan winning last year, it'd be shock value and it'd be a feel-good story, would you be able to sustain a championship run for Zelina Vega? More specifically, could you believably have Zelina Vega defeat either Asuka or Rhea Ripley when they inevitably have a rematch after she cashes in on either one of those women? I don't know. And that's the dilemma that we had with Liv Morgan at this time last year. So unfortunately for Zelina Vega, she's like going to be in it for some feel-good moments and a nice couple spots here and there. But I'd love to see Zelina Vega win it. I don't think she's going to. I wouldn't be against it. But I agree. Io Sky. I think it is undeniable that Io Sky is going to walk out of London as Miss Money in the Bank. Really quick before we switch into Rhodes and Dominic Mysterio, do you think that either LA Knight or Io Sky will cash in? Well, I guess Io Sky can't cash in because neither of the champions are on the card. So maybe not LA Sky. So do you think LA Knight, is it likely that we see LA Knight cash in his Money in the Bank contract tonight on either Rollins or Reigns after their respective matches?
Well, I don't think there's any chance he ever cashes in on Reigns. I mean, you wouldn't ever dare to end this title reign on a cash in. And if LA Knight does cash in on Roman Reigns, he's going to lose.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't know. For me, Rollins is kind of doing the WWE a service while being rewarded with being the first inaugural World Heavyweight Championship, at least for this title. So for me, I don't think that that's really done yet, the job. I think we're still going to get a little longer of Rollins defending a lot, and LA Knight might take advantage of that down the line, where Rollins is already weary from all the matches that he's been in.
Yeah.
So he goes into one, he wins, but he's beaten up, and then you see LA Knight come out. I don't know. I feel like given what's going on with the titles right now, I just don't think a same night cash in is the best idea.
Sure. That is fair. And it'd be interesting to see, but I do agree. I don't know if a same night cash in would be beneficial, at least in the case of Seth Rollins, because there could be other things that happen with Seth Rollins after his match, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Let's talk about Dominic Mysterio and Cody Rhodes. This is a match. They needed something for Cody Rhodes to do. First of all, let's get that out the way. They needed something for Cody Rhodes to do. And they give him Dominic Mysterio, and I don't hate it. I mean, Dominic Mysterio, say what you want about him. He's a heel, and whether you love or hate him, he has been doing good work since he's joined the Judgment Day. He's been doing amazing work. When you look at the top heels in the company, once you get past Roman Reigns and Gunther, you have a very strong argument that Mysterio might just be the third on the pecking order as far as the heels are concerned. If he's not ahead of Gunther himself, a lot of people love Gunther, so like he's a heel, but we all love him. So, it kind of gets fishy. But unfortunately, it is likely that Cody Rhodes is going to lose this match because we are more than likely going to see the return of Brock Lesnar during this match to set up their stipulation match for SummerSlam. So my question isn't who you think is going to win this match, because I think we can kind of both agree that we're going to see Brock. He's going to cost Cody the match. My question is, what's the stipulation do you think they're going to add to this to Brock and Brock versus Cody 3? It's reported that it's going to be a stipulation we haven't seen in a very long time. So it eliminates a couple things. It eliminates the I Quit match. We've seen that recently in the Thunderdome. It eliminates the ambulance match. We also saw that in the Thunderdome. So what match do you think we're getting between Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar come SummerSlam? Because it's a match we haven't seen in a long time.
Ooh, I'm trying to think. Okay, but I'm trying to think about like what both guys might specialize in.
Yeah.
I mean,
Brock Lesnar just specializes in fights.
Could it be something as simple as a submission match, maybe? But
could be, but does Cody Rhodes have a submission in his arsenal?
I mean, unless he uses like a leg lock of some sort, I guess not, but it's tough. As long as it's not an eye versus eye match. Something.
Yeah, let's not do that. There were two. So there was one that instantly came to mind for me, and then there's one that's being, a lot of people kind of think it's going to be because of the connection to Cody Rhodes. The first one, I honestly thought I have been missing the 3 stages of hell match. We haven't had a 3 stages of hell match since Payback. A couple years ago, it was 2012 Payback, Ryback versus John Cena for the WWE Championship was the last time we had a 3 stages of hell match. For those of you guys that don't know what a 3 stages of hell match is, it is 3 separate matches competed with the same competitors. Each match has its own stipulation, and the third match is usually the most gruesome of the 3, and it is necessary if there's a tiebreaker. There hasn't been a 3 stages of hell match that hasn't gone to the third stage, so you don't have to worry about that. So we've seen Triple H and Shawn Michaels in a 3 stages of hell match. We've seen, obviously, Ryback and Cena. I think those are the only ones I can think of off the top of my head, but I would love to see that for these. So I think it kind of makes sense. But the other one is a match that Cody's father specialized in. It's a bull rope match.
Mm-hmm.
There's reports that maybe we could see Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar in a bull rope match, which I've never seen a bull rope match. I would assume it would be something to the similarity of like a strap match that we've seen a couple times, or something like the match that Cena and Rusev had at Fastlane a couple of years ago,
with the lights,
like
yeah.
with the lights and the change, you got to hit like something along those lines. So I don't exactly know what a bull rope match is. I've never actually seen a bull rope match, but those I think are the 2 possibilities. Either it's going to be a bull rope match because of the connection to Dusty, or it's going to be a 3 stages of hell match because we literally haven't seen a 3 stages of hell match in almost a decade. So, or over a decade at this point. So those are the 2. And if I had to pick, they're probably going to go bull rope match, but I really want to see a 3 stages of hell match, man. I really do.
I would too. I'm kind of. Would they do an Iron Man match? Maybe. Like maybe.
That's a good question. I'm inclined to say no. And the reason why I would say no is because usually with what we've seen from Iron Man matches, we've seen their first match at Backlash was a roll-up. In their second match at Night of Champions, Cody passed out. Those 2 finishes don't give me Iron Man vibes. Do you know what I mean? Because when you're thinking Iron Man vibes, you're thinking like, who can really get the best of the other more in a set time? The other thing, too, is I don't know if they're going to expose Brock Lesnar to that, because you're going to be talking about 30 minutes. You're not going to make him go for an hour because there's going to be too much on the card. And it's not that Brock Lesnar can't go for 30 minutes. He absolutely can. I just don't know if at this point in his career you're going to put Brock Lesnar in a 30-minute Iron Man match. I feel like it would be you're going to put these 2 have been battling and it's been predicated on a fight. So they're going to be put in something brutal, and it's not that it's not that Iron Man matches aren't brutal, but Iron Man matches are just like they're still pinfall, they're still countouts and they're still disqualifications. It's not like it's just pins and submissions. So you wouldn't really be able to level with an Iron Man match that way, if that makes sense. Maybe a 2 out of 3 falls match could be a dark horse, but that's not as exciting as a bull rope match with a 3 stages of hell match. So I'm gonna say I personally want to see 3 stages of hell because it's been so long, but I think because of the connection to Dusty, I think they're probably gonna go with the bull rope match.
But in order to do a bull rope match, I guess you could have Brock challenge Cody to one of those, because the first thing that popped into my head was that you have to make it so that Cody picks the stipulation, but it's Cody that will essentially want the match if, in fact, Brock Lesnar cost him this match. But maybe I don't know. Maybe that's like Brock Lesnar's ultimatum, that he wants to do something that he wants to beat him in a match that Cody's father specialized in. I think that would make it super personal. That would be pretty cool if they included that into the promos, which Brock Lesnar certainly can do. It fits right in with the Brock Lesnar promos.
Yeah,
to be arrogant and say stuff like that.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty awesome.
I think either way, I guess the big benefit for Dominic Mysterio is that no matter what happens, he's probably walk out of London with a win over Cody Rhodes, even though it'll be via disqualification. He'll still walk out of here with a win over Cody Rhodes at Money in the Bank, in what is one of the 3 main events for the night. So that's good for Dom. Let's talk about what has been the greatest Intercontinental Championship reign of the modern era. Gunther puts the championship on the line against Riddle. in a match that Riddle's going to lose, unfortunately, for Matt Riddle. There's no way Matt Riddle wins this match, especially not in London. There's just no way.
Yeah. It's interesting because I look back at the last mid-card title reign that was something similar to Gunther's and Bobby Lashley's US title reign came to mind where he just kind of beat everybody. And ironically, it was Riddle that ended it on what had to be like a weird finish because Bobby Lashley has made himself look so unstoppable.
Yeah.
So eventually you're going to get, I think, that kind of finish to Gunther's title reign. It's just not going to be in London.
No.
And Matt Riddle's not going to win this match. The reign will continue for Gunther. They still have some time until the Royal Rumble, so you can't put Gunther you could put Gunther into the world title picture, but they're not going to until the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, he's going to win the Rumble.
Yeah, so until then, he's going to hang on to the Intercontinental Championship. But it's going to be a weird ending to that championship reign.
Yeah, 100%. Let's talk about what I think a lot of fans are hoping for, which is the potential return of Randy Orton. There have been rumors and speculation that Randy Orton's on his way back. There was a picture that was posted on Twitter. Gunther was there. Giovanni Vinci was there. Ludwig Kaiser was there. Ricochet was there. Riddle was on that plane. Otis was on that plane. There was a body that was photoshopped out of the picture next to Gunther. And a lot of people think it's Randy. Do you think we see Randy tonight? Do you think Randy Orton costs Matt Riddle the IC championship tonight?
Ooh, I did not think I didn't. When you said cost, I thought you were going to say Gunther. But that's even more interesting. What? I don't know.
Let's put the story hat on because we do that a lot, right? We come on this show and we put the story of how these things can work out, right? So if you think back to when we didn't see Randy, we hadn't seen Randy after Backlash, after the SmackDown after Backlash when the Usos defeated Riddle and Randy for the Raw Tag Team Championship on the Undisputed Champions, right? And the one thing Riddle kept saying is that he's doing everything for Randy. He dedicated the Universal Championship match to Randy and he lost. And he dedicated a bunch of matches to Randy and he lost. Randy Orton's never played fair. That's never been the guy that Randy Orton is. And it took a lot for Randy to dedicate himself, his time and his energy and his efforts into Matt Riddle to turn him into what he became. And he kept dedicating these matches to Randy Orton and he kept losing. Randy Orton could come back and just for the sake of it, just because he's the Viper, just because he can, and just because to prove a point that you don't dedicate things to me and then not follow up on it, he could cost Matt Riddle the championship. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe Matt Riddle loses cleanly. And maybe Randy comes out to console Riddle and then throw salt in the wound with an RKO. But I feel like that's too predictable. Do you know what I mean? Like if the match is over and Randy's music hits and we see Randy, like it's going to be too predictable of like, yep, he's coming out here to RKO Riddle. But if Randy just shows up like he does and hits Riddle with an RKO, well, his back's messed up, so maybe not an RKO out of nowhere. But like if he just shows up and just attacks Riddle out of nowhere, maybe he punts Riddle and just shows up out of nowhere and does that. That's more shocking, and I think that is more believable and more interesting, and you don't see that coming as opposed to Riddle's lost, he's in the ring, Randy's music hits, here he comes, he's going to give Riddle a hug, then up RKO or up punt or whatever it's going to be. Like that is too cliche, and we'll see it coming. I want to see Randy come out here and cost Riddle the match, and you know me. You were here a couple months ago. We started talking about this, and I said I didn't want to see Randy turn on Riddle because it's too easy and it's too cliche. But that's at this point the only way that Randy can come back is if he comes back and costs Riddle, or maybe Riddle just comes out with Randy in his corner, gets upset. Randy tries to console him, and then Riddle turns on Randy. I think at this point you could have Riddle turn heel as opposed to before. It would have been a little bit too difficult to have Riddle turn heel. Maybe you could have Riddle turn heel on Randy. Maybe.
See, I have two conflicting thoughts about that. One is that Randy Orton as a face to me just seems weird after everything you've ever seen with John Cena and his father, and punting Stephanie McMahon.
Yeah.
Randy Orton has as a face, it just kind of feels like he's like working at it. Like he still hasn't, not that he hasn't gotten it down, but he's still like new to it and he seemed uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah.
Now Riddle is definitely a guy that has that, like, can get angry and therefore could rage and turn on Randy. But I don't know. Is it worth it for me for Randy to come back and just be a face for the majority of the end of his career? I don't know, because I feel like if Randy is gonna, kind of put his health on the line here and come back, I kind of want it to be him doing what he does best. But that would also be very predictable. Whereas Riddle turning on Randy would be, not only would that be, I think that would do more for Matt Riddle's career.
Yeah, like this is what you have to deal with. Is it what does more? Because we're going to see these two at SummerSlam fight. What does more for Riddle? A face Riddle beating a heel Randy, or a heel Riddle being a face Randy? I think heel Riddle putting down babyface Randy would do more for his career than babyface Riddle putting down heel Randy. Because here's the thing. Unfortunately, because of the stipulations, Riddle can't challenge Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship ever again, or for the Undisputed Championship as long as he's champion. Riddle's also lost to Seth Rollins numerous times. So there's no way that you could put Riddle into a feud with Rollins believably and have him positioned as a believable challenger when every time these two have crossed paths, Rollins has come out on top. Except for in the Fight Pit match at Extreme Rules, Riddle won that match. What you have to figure out is there a way for Matt Riddle to remain relevant and remain where he is on the pecking order without a championship? Because he's going to lose this match, and he's not going to get a rematch, and he's not on SmackDown, so he can't face Austin Theory. So his options are either Gunther, who he's going to lose to, or Rollins, who he has lost to before. The only way to keep Riddle relevant, I think, and not lost in the shuffle is have him turn heel on Randy Orton. You get that match. I would assume by that time, I think at SummerSlam, we could likely see Gunther lose the IC title. Maybe not, but we could. Something has to happen. I don't know how much longer we can sustain Riddle being a face because he's not going to have a championship. And there are very few faces in the company right now that are over without a championship. Cody is over. LA Knight is over. That's actually it. That's actually it.
Yeah.
What other men on the roster are super over as a face right now without a championship? We haven't seen
it so good that they were booing Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, like we haven't seen Bobby Lashley in God knows how long. Ricochet's a fan favorite, but he's not over. Shinsuke's a fan favorite, but he's not over. Like, how many guys on the roster that don't have a championship? We're just talking guys, we're not talking girls. How many guys on the roster without a championship are over as a face? Cody Rhodes, LA Knight. That's it. That's it. That's it. The biggest face in the company is Seth Rollins. And who is Seth Rollins? He's your World Heavyweight Champion. There's no one else. So I think it's going to be it would be a breath of fresh air, and it would be something you didn't expect if it's Riddle turning on Orton instead of Orton turning on Riddle. And that's why I think they should do it that way. That's why I was advocating for it to happen that way a couple months ago when we were talking about it last year. That's been so, and I still do think that. I still do think that. Let's talk more about Seth Rollins, who is defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Finn Balor. The video package that we saw from Finn Balor on Monday is exactly what a video package should be. It was all that it entailed, and it further told the story of what we're getting between Seth freaking Rollins and Finn Balor. Who wins this match and walks out of London as the World Heavyweight Champion?
I would say probably Rollins. I think that, like I said, Rollins has kind of been doing a great job as champion. And with Roman Reigns kind of clogging up the other world title, you're going to have a guy like that can come on the show every single week, defend as much as Rollins does. And I don't know if they would do that with Balor. Just because Balor, you also have to incorporate the Judgment Day. And I feel like if you were to put a championship on Balor, it would be very similar to the whole bloodline thing that we just saw with Roman Reigns, with the Usos costing every challenger the title, Solo Sikoa costing challengers the title. I feel like it would come off as something very similar if Finn Balor were to win. I also just don't see them ending Rollins' title reign that soon. I think he's destined to lose to probably LA Knight.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think the other thing you have to think about is how many times have we had two heel world champions at the same time? Not very often. Not many times have we seen that, right? So I think that's the other thing we have to think about as well. They're going to give us a great match because every time Rollins and Balor is in the ring, it's a great match. Here's my question. There were reports a couple months ago after WrestleMania that Drew McIntyre was out due to injury. It then evolved, and we found out that he was also out because he wasn't going to return until he got a creative direction that he enjoyed and got his contract extension. We're going to be in the UK. Drew McIntyre's from Scotland. Do we see Drew McIntyre after this match attack Seth Rollins and stake his claim for the World Heavyweight Championship for SummerSlam, maybe?
Maybe, and it would certainly make up for Clash at the Castle, where I thought I really thought Roman's championship reign is over, and then Solo Sikoa debuts, and then obviously McIntyre didn't win the match. I think it would give you a great moment for Drew McIntyre. I think it would be a great heel turn because I like Drew McIntyre as a heel because he's one of those big, huge physical dudes that I think fits like the heel profile.
Yeah.
But I think it would be a great moment for McIntyre in front of the fans where maybe it would be like a heel turn, but you could let him bask in the glory of being home. And then on Raw, you could McIntyre could come out and stake his claim for the world title and make it clear he's a heel.
Yeah. Let's make the one thing super, super, super clear. I love Drew McIntyre. And I've loved what we have been given from Drew McIntyre as the Scottish Warrior. I love it. I've loved every bit of it. It's time for Drew McIntyre to return to being the Scottish psychopath, which is what he was when he first returned alongside Dolph Ziggler back in 2018. That Drew McIntyre is the Drew McIntyre that I want to see. That Drew McIntyre is Drew McIntyre that I think would get that moment and win the championship in front of the fans. And that Drew McIntyre is the Drew McIntyre that hopefully brings Broken Dreams back. I am sick of listening to the bagpipes, Al. I am. I want Broken Dreams back. I really, really do. And they teased us with it at Clash of the Castle. And then they gave us a bit of it and not the full thing. Give us Broken Dreams back. I think it would fit perfectly with the heel. And remember, when he was in WWE the first time, what was he? He was a heel. What was his theme song? It was Broken Dreams. I want to see Broken Dreams return. On a serious note, though, I do think that Drew McIntyre returning today after this match, I think makes the most sense. When there were reports of there potentially being a surprise entrant in the Money in the Bank, I thought it was going to be Drew McIntyre, and I thought Drew was going to win, and I thought Drew was going to cash in today as Mr. Money in the Bank. Get his moment as a face and turn heel on Monday. That's not what's happening. The surprise entrant was Logan Paul. Fine, whatever. I do still think that that Drew McIntyre can return. I do still think he can put a boot to Seth Rollins' face. And I do still think that he can turn heel. And now you've given something for Rollins for SummerSlam. And by then, I wouldn't be upset if Drew McIntyre beats Seth Rollins at SummerSlam for the championship. I would not be at all.
No, and I think, I don't know. I think, like Drew McIntyre probably agrees at this point because he won't come back until he has that creative direction. Him as a face has definitely become stale. It's like he's too he's too big to be. I don't want to say he's too big to be a heel to be a face for too long,
Sure.
but he offers too much of a like him and Sheamus are like brutal. They're physical in the ring, and I that doesn't really for me fit the face.
Mm-hmm.
Like Drew is somebody that can put a beating to somebody, and that to me screams heel.
Yeah.
And Drew McIntyre is a heel screaming into the microphone about what he's owed, and he's been overlooked, and if they do something like that, that would be entertaining.
Yeah,
and I think people would get behind that because it wouldn't necessarily be Drew being shoved down our throats like the face Drew McIntyre, but I think it would be like, okay, now we need to give this guy his moment in front of the fans.
Let's think about it, right? The run that Drew had after winning the Royal Rumble was as a face, right? Leading up against Brock Lesnar. But everything that he was saying, everything that he did, it kind of felt like he repeatedly, he claymored Brock Lesnar on the last Monday Night Raw before the performance in the era officially started. He claymored Brock Lesnar 3 times, picked up the WWE Championship, and yelled at Brock Lesnar in his face while he's down. That screams like Drew McIntyre he is 6'5", 265. He's built like a linebacker. He's got like the move set, and he has the ability to be a heel and be a really, really, really good heel. Unfortunately, again, can you have 2 heel champions at the top of the card? You could. WWE's never really been one to do that, though. You could have 2 face champions, but again, they don't really do that often either. I would like to see Drew McIntyre return tonight, and I would like to see Drew McIntyre return tonight as a heel. I think that would be what's best for Drew, and I think that would be what's best for Seth Rollins, because after Finn Balor, you need someone next. And as opposed to keep doing this thing where Rollins is repeatedly going on Raw and just asking for a challenger, let's have a challenger force his way to the front of the line. And there's no better challenger to do that than Drew McIntyre, I think.
Yeah, no, that I mean, because it's like you can only sustain. It's like good for Rollins, I think, to defend all the time. That's kind of what we wanted. That's what Roman Reigns was begging for when Brock Lesnar was champion and did this thing that Roman's doing now, which is part timing. But at this point, Rollins has defended a lot. So I think now you can start to build feuds as opposed to an open challenge type of thing. So I think so this is where now you could pull Rollins' mic skills more so into the mix as well. Rollins versus a heel Drew McIntyre would be a very good. I think it would be a great promo.
Yeah. So let's talk about the main event. The bloodline has officially imploded. Roman Reigns, our undisputed WWE Universal Champion, and his younger cousin, Solo Sikoa, will take on Solo's brothers, the Usos, Jimmy and Jey, in a tag team match. This is a match that has been 3 years in the making. And before we get into the match, we have to know this, right? Roman and Solo and Jimmy and Jey, at the end of every show, they get on their bus and they have a ball. Like, they enjoy that they're the center of the wrestling universe right now, even though they're hating each other. Like, like they are on the bus, like they are loving every single bit of it. And how could you not? You've got 4 guys who are family members, 3 of whom grew up together in Roman, Jimmy, and Jey, and Solo, obviously their younger brother. You got to love it. But Sal, I need you to pick a side. Who's right and who's wrong? Are you on the side of Roman and Solo, or are you on the side of Jimmy and Jey? Whose side are you on tonight for the Civil War of the Bloodline?
So, because I don't think that they would have the Bloodline lose twice in a row. I think Reigns and Solo barely get the job done. But I think they started kind of planting the seeds because they said, Solo is going to be the next tribal chief. And they're going to further plant those seeds for Solo. Right now, it's just they're trying to work towards Solo turning on Roman.
Yeah.
And I think that's down the line. Solo will challenge after Jimmy, after Jey. But I think first you got to get through this match. And I think Reigns and Sikoa pick up the win. Number one, so they don't lose twice in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, it's all about Solo's future. I think that if you get Roman Reigns and Sikoa to win, but you have that kind of descent start to make its way in between Sikoa and Reigns, where Solo is now thinking about it. Maybe, Roman is screaming at him during the match and Sikoa kind of realizes what the Usos were talking about. I think it would be great. I think this is going to be a great match. And for this family that's been dominating the wrestling industry with this storyline for the past 3 years, it has been one hell of a ride for this family.
It has. It 100% has. Roman and Solo are going to win this match, I think. If Jimmy and Jey win, Solo is going to take the pin. I don't think we're going to have Roman's first pinfall, him taking his first pinfall. I don't think that's going to happen in a tag team match. It's going to happen in a one-on-one match for the championship. But here's my thinking, and this is where I'm at, and this is where I'm kind of struggling with this whole thing. And I love it, but are we still sure it's going to be Jey? Like, are we still 100% sure it's going to be Jey? Let's ignore the fact for a second that Roman and Cody are on track to main event WrestleMania 40 again. The reports are out. Let's ignore that for just a second. Let's just focus on the short term. Because you're right. We've seen a lot of seeds being planted for a Roman Reigns Solo Sikoa matchup down the line. It's not going to be at SummerSlam. That's probably going to be Roman versus Jey. Whatever. But are we so sure, when you're thinking about Solo's future, as you mentioned, are we 100% sure that Jimmy or Jey Uso is going to be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns? What if Jimmy and Jey have left the bloodline to kickstart Solo leaving the bloodline so that eventually Solo Sikoa can be the one to defeat Roman Reigns for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship? Are we 100% positive that it's going to be Jey Uso? That's the question.
Yeah, no, I don't think, as far as the Usos have come, I don't necessarily view them as World Heavyweight Championship material necessarily, whereas Solo Sikoa screams Umaga and therefore screams World Heavyweight Champion down the line. Jimmy or Jey would be like one of those like one-time world champion, wouldn't hold the title for that long. And I feel like they wouldn't have Jimmy or Jey end the world championship reign of Roman Reigns and then have them lose it that quickly. Whereas Solo Sikoa, you can sustain a world title run if Solo were to take the title away from Roman. And I also think that Jimmy and Jey are a Hall of Fame tag team already. They're kind of in the Hall of Fame already.
Yeah, 100%.
Roman Reigns is in the Hall of Fame already.
100%.
And, this is a great way to like you said, kickstart Solo Sikoa to eventually getting to that Hall of Fame level. And I think as new as he might be, he's a legit contender for Roman, because you look at the speed, you look at the size, the style, the Umaga style that he uses. He's dangerous, and he has that dangerous attitude in the ring. I think that makes him automatically a world title contender.
Yeah, I think when you look at Solo Sikoa, I don't think it's impossible. We've seen world champions like Solo before. Solo's mic work isn't that great, but it doesn't have to be that great because he's got Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman can do the talking for him, just like Paul Heyman did the talking for Brock Lesnar. I think we've been so distracted, so infatuated with the idea of Jey Uso being the one to take down Roman Reigns, so tickled with the idea that maybe it could be Jimmy when Jimmy turned out Night of Champions, that I think we've forgotten that I do think it's legit, and I do think it's a legit possibility that Solo Sikoa could be the one to take down Roman Reigns. Now, of the three of them, I think we can all agree that it's most likely going to be Jey, because this all started with Jey, can probably end with Jey, most likely. But right now, in the present, if we're not projecting and we're talking right now in the present, there is a legitimate opportunity for Solo Sikoa to be the one to take down Roman Reigns, and we're seeing the seeds of that being planted as recent as last night on SmackDown, when Jimmy and Jey said the only tribal chief that they acknowledge is Solo, and Roman Reigns laughed hysterically at the idea that Solo Sikoa could be the tribal chief. He did not laugh that hard at Jimmy when Jimmy mentioned it. He didn't even laugh that hard when Jey mentioned it, because as he said, he wants Jey to be the tribal chief, the next tribal chief. But the idea of Solo Sikoa being the tribal chief made Roman Reigns laugh maniacally on Friday night. That is something that Solo did not take too kindly to. That is something that we're going to have to pay very, very, very close attention to, because it now adds a dynamic of the Roman Reigns Solo Sikoa relationship, which is that, quite frankly, Roman Reigns doesn't take Solo Sikoa seriously right now. And maybe Solo Sikoa is going to have to give Roman Reigns a reason to take him seriously. And that, I think, is super, super important.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing of these three, I never really considered, as good of work as he's done in this storyline, I never considered Jimmy to be a candidate really to take down Roman Reigns. I mean, Solo, because of who he is, he has world champion written all over him. And Jey, if you want to do the full circle thing, you could do that, but it's like, you better have a plan afterwards. It better not be, well, he's going to be champion for a couple of weeks and he's going to lose. That better not be what their plan is for the guy who takes down Roman Reigns. The guy who takes down Roman Reigns, that is an accolade in itself. Not only do you add a world champion to your accolade, you add, I ended the historic reign of Roman Reigns to
Whoever beats Roman Reigns has to win at one of two places. They have to win at SummerSlam, or they have to win at WrestleMania. If they win at WrestleMania, they have to hold the championship until at least SummerSlam. If they win at SummerSlam, they have to hold the championship until at least WrestleMania. That's the only way it matters. You're not going to have the person that beats Roman Reigns win at SummerSlam and lose to the next pay-per-view. That's disgusting. You've wasted the reign. You've wasted 3 years. So you're right. And that is why I've always thought that maybe it shouldn't be Jey, because I don't know if Jey can 100% be that guy. And I don't think that Jimmy can be that guy either. And I honestly don't think Solo could be that guy, but I do think we should start taking it more seriously. What I do think is that it's going to be an actual single superstar who is primed and ready for that opportunity, whether it's Gunther, whether it's Cody, it could be LA Knight, it could be Seth Rollins, it could be Drew, whoever it is. I don't know if an actual member of the bloodline is going to be that person, because they're going to have super big shoes to fill. And maybe that's what they want. Maybe they want it to be one of these three guys to have the threat of to have to try to follow up what Roman Reigns did. But no one to be able to, whether it's a member of the bloodline or not. Well, I am super, super excited for Money in the Bank, as I always am I'm super excited for most pay-per-views all the time. But Money in the Bank, as I said at the top of the show, holds a very special place in my heart. Sal, before we get out of here, can you please let everybody know where they can find you and all of your content?
So yeah, you can find me at Sports in the Big Apple. On social media, I have my Instagram account, and for my podcast, you can find me on Spotify, Google Podcast, and iHeartRadio by searching up Sports in the Big Apple. We're talking some baseball. The NBA offseason is getting moving, so is the NHL, but the NBA, we've had a few big trades, some big signings, a big request out of Portland. So it's a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk about. As NBA these off seasons are nuts, because you just get notification after notification. This guy's going here. This guy's going there. This big trade is happening. So it's a lot crazier than in-season trades. Like, even when Kevin Durant got traded to the Suns, and obviously it gave the Nets Mikal Bridges, it doesn't. The thing that makes it crazy, alongside obviously Durant going to Phoenix, is before you even have time to think about that, you have another either request or like signing. So it's nuts.
NBA free
I
agency
love
is
it.
always a fun time. It's always a fun time. It's gonna be a while before you see me again. It's not true. You'll see me next Friday. Next Friday, myself and Martin Sawyers will be back here to talk all things women's basketball. The WBA season has been on fire, and the All-Star break is coming up in a few weeks. After the 7th, you won't see me that much because July is just a very, very, very busy month for me. So, but what you can do is you can still subscribe to the Give Us a Shot Network. You can still tune into the shows that I do have. You can also tune into Bert and Germ stuff about sports. You can tune into Mike and Corey of the Divide. You can tune into JT and the Don of the JT and the Don All Sports Podcast, and you can tune into the guys from the High Spot Podcast. There's a lot of amazing content on this show, all this on this network on a weekly basis, on a day-to-day basis, on the socials, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. If you can't find us, you're not trying hard enough. You can also head over to giveusashot.network to see some more things over there as well. So for my guy, Sal Vassallo of Sports in the Big Apple, this is Marcus of Go Talker Markets signing off. Thank you guys for watching. If you plan on watching, I hope you all enjoy Money in the Bank. And I hope you all have a very safe weekend. And most importantly, I hope you all have a very safe 4th of July on this Tuesday, because we know how crazy 4th of July can be. And I hope that you all stay safe out here in these streets. So thank you for watching. You guys enjoy your weekends. You have a safe 4th of July. We'll enjoy the rest of your lives. We'll see you again next Friday, 8 p.m. WNBA basketball. Got to talk about it.